Hey folks, I got up nice and early this morning because it is time to harvest our onions in our garden. I just want to walk you through some tips for how you can tell when your onions have naturally decided they're done and they are ready to be pulled for storage. Now, if you live in a climate where you have a really short growing season, you're probably going to want to knock your tops over before they naturally fall over, probably 3 to 4 weeks before your first average frost. But I'm just going to show you a bed that has given clear signs that it's ready to be harvested, and another one that actually is not yet ready. So let me flip the camera around and show you what sign you need to look for. When it comes to onions, when the tops start to fall over and about 2/3 have gone over, that is a sure sign that your onions are done. They're preparing themselves for winter, and so this bed is very much ready to be pulled. Here's another bed where all the tops have fallen over. They so obviously are done. But let me show you one that's not there yet. So if you live in a colder climate, or maybe you planted your onions late, you're worried the frost is coming, that it might get them, you can knock your tops over, like I said earlier, 3 to 4 weeks before your first frost of the year. You can also stop watering them, and that will really help speed along the finishing process. So the plant kind of knows it's done, it's all its energy goes to the root. That is the ideal way. If you can't do that, that's okay too. Just pull your onions and dry them. But I like to let them kind of naturally finish themselves because I think they last a little longer in storage if you give them that opportunity. Ready though, I've got a lot of work cut out for me, so let's pull some onions. I'll go show you where we lay them out to dry them, and then I'll show you cleaning them up, and once they're done, which is going to be a couple weeks at least, and then we will go from there. All right, let's get busy. Quickly show you this. Ugh. If your onion tops have browned and dried out like this, if you reach this point, you need to stop watering your garden. Ideally, around the time the tops fall over, as long as they're still green, you're okay to water for maybe a week. But once the green tops have flopped over, you have to stop, or else things are going to rot. Particularly, again, if your stalks, your green tops have turned brown, this is what will happen. Now, these are little guys, and I knew I was pushing the envelope. Most of these are still good, but it's very important. Onions need to be dry once they start dying off. So don't water them too much, all right? Let's get back to harvest so that I don't lose them. As with anything, if you plan to store your veggies over winter, you need to make sure you choose the best and that you choose unblemished, all right? This onion, I can see if I look in here that I think it's perhaps beginning to rot, and you can pull away some of your layers, but this is definitely decaying some on the outside. So if I can peel this back, I might be able to save it. But I really towed the line with these ones. The other thing I want to say is, don't, there's dirt on your onions, just let the dirt dry on and you can brush it off. Don't clap onions together to try to knock dirt off, because that bruises the flesh. And then, of course, bruised flesh is going to go bad sooner. You're going to have onions spoiling a lot faster than you would like. All right, we've got a long way to go still. Let's get back to it. To dry your onions, you can just spread them out on a table. You can put them on, some people spread them out under a tree to dry them out after they're harvested. Some people even bring them in their house. I like to do this in our woodshed, and I just have a frame stretched with wire that we then put all our onions on. And you just want to make sure you space them so that the greens can dry out, so that the bulbs can dry out without causing any rotting. So I love the screens. It allows for good airflow. You can put your onions down a little thicker. So we're gonna leave these for about 2 to 3 weeks. We'll come back and check them. And when this kind of now moist outside is all papery and dry, then we know they're done, and we can bring them inside and just brush them up outside, bring them inside, and then we'll store them. So I'll be back here in about 2 to 3 weeks and we'll check on them. Our onions have been curing for 4 to 6 weeks. I don't remember exactly when I brought them in, but I do know the other night my man and I had to rush out and bring them in. We were getting a cold frost coming in, and I didn't want them to freeze out in the woodshed, so we threw them in bins and brought them inside. But now I just want to quickly walk you through cleaning them up, how you can lessen the mess, and also what to look for so that you know whether or not an onion is suitable for storage. The very first thing you want to look for when you are checking your onions to see if they are done curing or not is to look for a papery outside peel. There should be some of it coming off like you see here. And I would actually recommend for storage that the loose outer papers, that you do get rid of them. They usually have dirt clinging to them, and it's just a nice way to clean things up. Now, if you want, you can take scissors and trim off the little stem ends, which isn't a bad way to go. And then if your end, it should be nice and dry and brown and crisp if you're going to store it. If not, they're not dried out yet and they're not ready for storage. But like this, where they're all dry, I'm actually just going to cut it off. You can look at the tip. There's no green stuff there. It's dry and brown all the way through. That's a wonderful way to clean up your onions. This is a beautiful Australian brown onion. And so I'm just going to throw this in my basket and sort through all of my onions, cleaning them up as I go. Now, I do want to show you an onion like this. So this was an onion that I let go to seed that I then harvested. These onions tend to rot quickly in storage. If you have a hollow tube, so if it's put up ahead for seed, this holds a lot of moisture compared to just your green leafy tops. They'll dry out to be really crisp and brown. But if you have one that has gone to seed like this, you actually don't want to put this in storage, because, let me cut it and show you. All the way down to your root at the bottom of your onion, you are going to have a moist stalk. that stalk is going to rot when you put it into storage. And so you do not want to put this in your long-term storage onion bin. This needs to go directly to the kitchen if they have that seed stalk, and it needs to be used. Let me pull this apart for you real quick. This is what it does. It travels all the way down to your root and it holds moisture. So this onion, it'll taste great, but it's not going to keep as long as your onions that only were allowed to put out kind of the normal green tops, all right? So that's just a tip for you if you're storing your onions, something to know and be aware of. If you see anything like this that has rot or decay in it, that should also be used right away. That's not a suitable storage onion either. All right, so here we've got our Australian brown onion, or mostly Australian brown, Spanish yellow, and then these are onions that unfortunately are either partially rotten or have some sort of blemish. Maybe it's a stalk going down. But this particular onion, the bottom seems to be bruised on it. We've got others where they just don't look healthy. Perhaps it seems to have some areas of rot. Healthy onions should always be firm. There shouldn't be any squishiness in them. And some of these here, we're going to take them directly to the kitchen and use them right away. There we go. This one also had a seed head going up out of it. So these are still great for eating, but we just don't want to put them in storage because they won't last as long. So this basket will go directly to the kitchen and the other two can be put into storage. All right, folks, hopefully that was helpful, showing you when to harvest your onions, how to harvest, to cure them, and then prepare them for winter storage. And one thing I didn't touch on is that no matter where you put your onions, make sure that the environment they have is a dry environment. Meaning if you have a root cellar or something like that, onions generally don't last as long in a really humid environment. So keeping them, in a semi-cool spot in your home would be your best option. Here we have the cold room just off the kitchen. It has a concrete floor. It's a very dry environment, and onions will keep till spring in there, which is wonderful. And so that's that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. I will get back to you. You can always follow me along at A Traditional Life, either on YouTube or on my website. I'm Autumn Rose. Thank you for joining me today, and we will see you next time.